Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode of Coaching Conversations. And I wanted to make you aware of something very cool that we're doing on a subscription basis, and we'll put a link in each one of our episodes. But every Wednesday, we're going to be doing what we call an audio podcast workshop. That workshop will be roughly about 14 to maybe 20 minutes per episode, with each month having a theme from a coaching model, using feedback strategically, to coaching self-awareness, and so on. So if you could, look in the body or in the content description of each episode, and you will see a link where you can join this subscription. These are literally 4 workshops every month, teaching specific strategies to address a particular area of workplace coaching, as it relates, again, to things like awareness, motivation, teamwork, and what have you. Here's the cool thing. It's only $10 per month, and each month you will get a handout that we will follow along with. So we also give you a tool for you to take notes as we go through each episode. We hope you'll check it out.
Resilience. What is resilience? What does it mean to be resilient? Psychologists define resilience as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress, such as family or relationship problems, serious health problems, or workplace and financial stressors. Think about, what does it mean to literally be resilient? Now, I'm going to treat this as a lesson, like a coaching lesson. I want to share with you a story I saw over the weekend, and it was an interview of 3 employees literally sitting on a couch next to each other talking about Amazon. And they were ex-employees and talking about how the requirement and the numbers they had to hit and the metrics they had to hit were just unfair. And they then would interview other people, such as vice presidents at Amazon, and said, look, we have these things in place for a reason, so we're efficient. We give our customers what we want. So let's look at this from 3 approaches. Let's look at it from a customer approach. Now, I'm not a fan of Bezos or Amazon. I like the company. I love the convenience of ordering something and getting it the next day. I've loved it. I think they've reinvented how we shop. Think about the value of that to the consumer. So this company's done some good things. Oh, by the way, debt-free, and they employ thousands and thousands and thousands of people, okay? They also are now providing flexible scheduling. I was just talking to 2 people in 2 different states who said, oh, we have an Amazon center right near us. People can work 5-hour shifts whenever they want. It provides people flexibility unlike other companies. Number 2, let's look at it from an employee standpoint. While the metrics might be unfair, we also have to be very conscientious of the fact that they're in place for a reason. I'm going to make a very cynical comment. It's called a hard day's work. It's called hustle. By the way, the interview was 3 people on a couch. I'm sure there's happy people and there's just as many potentially not happy people. And the vice president of Amazon made a great comment. He said, look, these are not career jobs. These are jobs that can help people from get to point A to point B to point C, depending on their situation. He said, now, with that being said, we've had people who have been successful, who've worked those jobs for years. So if you've talked to some people who are disgruntled, is that an Amazon issue or is that an employee issue? So we've looked at this from a consumer standpoint. We've looked at it from an employee standpoint and a little bit from an employer standpoint, meaning Amazon, the company. Now, why do I share this? Resilience. Our industry seems to have gotten very caught up in the well-being and the health of our employees, and they should. I am not suggesting that at all should change. What I'm suggesting is that we have to also be on equal footing. What I mean by equal footing is we have to be on equal footing in terms of we will be sensitive, we will provide you a place of work that will give you opportunities, income, hopefully benefits, etc. what we need in return is a good day's work. Now, for years, I have worked with a company in the agricultural space by the name of Monsanto, now Bayer Science, one of my favorite clients. And I always was amazed that a lot of the people that I worked with and reported to still owned farms. They would work the farm in the morning and the evening and both days and the weekends. So when you hear people say, well, I had a 100-hour work week, these people had a 100-hour work week, and you never, ever heard them complain. First of all, Amazon is not evil. Amazon, because of its massive success, became a point of contention. It became an opportunity to go after it from a news perspective. Here's why I share that. It's so easy to tear things down when they're going well. It's so easy to go after things that are good and try to represent the opposite side. Now, I can hear journalists fighting me right now in my head, right? So then I would ask a journalist this. Why don't you go to a startup company who's near bankruptcy and really drill them on all the things they're doing wrong? It wouldn't be newsworthy. You know why? Because it would come off vicious or would come off unsympathetic, but it's not unsympathetic when we go after companies that have been successful. We tend to be very cynical. We tend to be very negative. We tend to create negativity because it is something that we just do as human beings. How do I know that? When a boss calls you into the office, what's the employee's first impression? It's usually what? Uh-oh, what did I do wrong? Why is that? Because we've kind of created that as a belief system. So when I'm watching this interview and I'm watching these three employees, and I hope I don't lose any listeners because of this, I just have to share this. They sat there and just ripped on the company. They took their time to complain in an interview. And they were working, I'll say it, entry-level jobs at Amazon. And they took their time to complain about the company. Why aren't they working? Why aren't they out looking for working? Maybe they are working, who knows? Yet it became a news report because some people left a company that were disenchanted with its requirements. Great, move on. Why do we need to hear from people? That's the critical component. That's the thing we need to realize in the workplaces. We need to be thoughtful and empathetic and sensitive and caring. I am not suggesting anything to the contrary. Yet we tend to have forgotten we need a good day's work. We need you to be resilient. We need you to adapt. We need you to overcome. We need you to find ways to be successful. Yet when a company is successful, we tend to go after it. Now, when I was sharing these thoughts before this podcast, someone said, well, give me another example. I said, the United States congressional hearings. We have congressmen who cannot get our budget balanced, who cannot reduce our debt, are now going to go after companies who have billions of dollars working under government law in savings and supply jobs to thousands and thousands and thousands of employees. Congressmen are the best people to interview people from the private sector and what they're doing right or wrong? That just seems crazy. Amazon is not evil. Amazon has created opportunities. Will Amazon face different things because of its size and its success? Sure it will. Does it need to be regulated because of its size? Probably. Yet, let's also appreciate the good things that they've done. Let me finish with this. I have a friend who got hit with some really tough times. He needed to find a job, and he said, I went down to an Amazon fulfillment center, and I ended up getting my way of scheduling my own hours. I worked 5 hours. And he said it allowed me to look for jobs in the morning, look for jobs in the afternoon. And he said it absolutely fulfilled a gap in my life. And he did it for 6 months. And when he left, he said there were no hard feelings. He said, you don't really get to know people. He said, you work hard. Don't get me wrong. And And he said, I needed that. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I had to move around. I would sit at home, and when I wasn't interviewing, it gave me something else to do. And it also allowed me to supply for my family during Christmas. I said, wow, are you okay? And he said, yeah. He said, I got the job that I'm looking for. Things are looking up. He said, would I ever want to do that work again? He said, probably not. Because one, I don't have to. But he said, there was a time when I had to, and it was there for me. So again, the workplace is important. How people feel is important. Let's not lose sight of one thing. When companies supply jobs and opportunities, and oh, by the way, requirements for a successful hard day's work, let's not find a way to criticize them. Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21-day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.